Hello everybody, my name is Tracy with Sugar Bees Cookies. I've been a member of the group for actually I think almost since the beginning. As soon as I found out about it, I joined the Sugar Cookie Marketing Group. Today I wanted to talk about being neurodivergent. I personally have ADHD. I was diagnosed in 2018 at 52, and you want to talk about being diagnosed late in life. 52 is pretty late in life, but the first thing I want to say is this is a no judgment zone. I have crazy hair, don't care. I don't know what behind me looks like. Actually, it's kind of clean at the moment, so that's pretty good. But this is a no judgment zone. So if I say anything that bothers somebody, keep it to yourself. I mean, there's no reason to be mean. And anybody who knows me personally knows I am the biggest proponent of no judgment. I don't judge people lest I be judged. So no judging, okay? I started my cookie business officially, kind of officially, in 2008 here in Illinois. I'm from California originally, and I was doing cookies in California. I just wasn't charging for them. When I came to Illinois, I came in 2004 and I began, a cookie business in 2008. And like I said, I wasn't diagnosed until 2018 with ADHD. So between 2008 and today, honestly, and I don't mean today as in this very day, but presently, I have struggled with procrastination. Organization is not my thing. I struggled being motivated. I was constantly struggling to finish orders, tasks of all kinds. I mean, in my personal life, in my business life. And it's a miracle my business survived as long as it did. Not just because there was no sugar cookie marketing and I didn't know what the heck I was doing business-wise, but just because I really was floundering constantly. And it was hard. I felt anxious all the time because I was constantly what we call a procrastinator. I was waiting until the last minute, which is a common thing with people with ADHD, is we wait until the very last minute, until the pressure is more than we can resist, and we always get it done. It may not be on time, but it's pretty close to on time, but we always get it done. And so I lived like that with my business from 2008 until probably maybe 3 or 4 months ago, when I just finally one day something clicked. Something didn't just click. I watched something that clicked in my head. And I have my notes down here, so I make sure that I talk about everything I wanted to talk about. One of the reasons I went to go get diagnosed is, my whole entire life, I wasn't a good student. I constantly had teachers telling me or telling my parents, she has so much potential, if only she'd apply herself. My parents telling me I was lazy, that I was a slob. When I got married, my ex told me I was a slob. He always was telling me there was something wrong with me because he'd tell me something and then the next day I'd be like, what? I don't remember that. And he'd tell me, I told you. Even my kids, sometimes I'd ask my kids, oh, do you work tomorrow? And they'd be like, Mom, I told you already, I work tomorrow. Well, obviously, if I'm asking you again, I don't remember. So I honestly thought there was something wrong with me. I thought maybe, maybe something was missing, that, I had a memory problem. I honestly, honest to God, thought I had a memory problem. So I went and I saw a psychologist, and they sent me to a psychiatrist who does the testing. And oh my goodness, anybody who's gone through ADHD testing, it's like 3 days of 6 to 8 hours of testing each day. It's I learned a lot about myself in that testing. Number one, I do not have a bad memory. People with, as a matter of fact, I'm one of those that you can turn on any song. It could be from 40 years ago, and I'll know the lyrics to it. A a couple of my daughters do the same thing. I just know the lyrics to everything, and yet I cannot remember what somebody told me yesterday. Sometimes I can't remember, you know, what I ate yesterday. But that's the way it is with ADHD. We have a problem with what's called working memory. And working memory, let me grab a drink here while I find my note on working memory. I read something today about working memory, and that was like an aha moment for me. And of course I can't find it right now. Okay, so people with ADHD, such as myself, are neurodivergent people, which is, I guess, the politically correct way to say it. Working memory is the part of our brain that takes what we learn and turns that information into action. So we're remembering instructions long enough to finish a task, which is why we have such a hard time finishing tasks, is we forget what we were told, we lose motivation. And you know, that was one of the things that I learned about myself, is that I had a problem with working memory. So I've developed ways to get around that. I also, which is what I'm going to talk about a little later, is some of the hacks that I've learned to help me be more productive. But I did want to talk about, you know, for those with ADHD, or actually some people in general, you don't have to be diagnosed to have these struggles. I've spent lots of time trying to get organized and never being able to. So I finally just embraced it, and I would tell everybody it's my open organization system. I've heard some people call it organized chaos, and there's a reason for that. I'll get to that in a bit. Another thing about ADHD or neurodivergent people is that we tend to be sensitive to emotional pain, more so than most people. Some people will tell us that we're, you know, you're just too sensitive. No, but don't take it so personal. That's my favorite. Don't take it so personal. Well, you're telling it to me, it's personal. But that leads into what's called rejection sensitivity dysphoria, which I just learned about earlier this year, that I suffer with, which goes hand in hand with ADHD. It's due to a difference in brain structure for people who have ADHD is the reason we're susceptible to rejection sensitivity dysphoria, or RSD. And what rejection sensitivity dysphoria is it causes emotional sensitivity and pain due to real or perceived rejection or criticism. So it doesn't even have to be real, but it'll feel real to us. And then I can give you the perfect example. Let's say, you know, the phone rings, and most ADHDers like myself, we don't answer the phone. I let it go to voicemail. And you go and you listen to the voicemail, and it's somebody who just picked up their cookies, and they say, hey, can you give me a call? In your mind, for those of us that are neurodivergent, in our minds, we automatically start thinking, oh my God, they hated the cookies. They found out I'm a fraud. I am such a fraud. They're gonna want their money back. I don't know what I did wrong, but I know I did something wrong, or they wouldn't be calling me. Well, you actually give them a call back, and they just want to know, how do they store their cookies since their party isn't tomorrow? And in the meantime, you've worked up all this anxiety for nothing. But that's what rejection sensitivity is about. You think something's wrong when it really isn't. Also, people with ADHD, like I mentioned, we don't answer the phone because it's phone anxiety. That's a real thing for neurodivergence. We know that we get easily distracted, and we're afraid to answer the phone because if it goes on too long, if the conversation goes on too long, we check out and we start doing other things. We're multitasking. And then we're worried that we're going to make the person we're talking to mad because we're not really paying attention. We checked out, we missed things. We're afraid we're going to embarrass ourselves or say something stupid and make the person mad at us. which leads into ADHDers being people pleasers. We're people pleasers because we feel like there's something wrong with us. The whole, what is it called? There you go, ADHD in real life. Impersonators. We feel, it's not impersonators. What is the word I'm looking for? Imposter syndrome. That's the word I'm looking for. So we feel like we're imposters. So we don't want to get on the phone without a script. We don't want to get on the phone because we're afraid we're going to, not pay attention and we're going to make somebody mad. So people pleasing, we get into that. Let me find that note. We tend to be people pleasers because of our sensitivity to pain, emotional pain. And we tend to be the people that are like, just tell me what you want and I'll make it happen. Just please don't get mad at me. That's it all the time. Just don't get mad at me. I'll do whatever you want. We don't actually say that, but that's what's going on in our heads. And then the reason why a lot of us have imposter syndrome is because ADHDers, and women in particular, we spend our whole lives hiding how we feel inside, how we feel inadequate or, like imposters. We hide that. So especially in this day and age of social media, where only our best gets put out there on social media, which if you look at my social media page, nothing ever gets posted because I'm hiding. But that's where the imposter syndrome comes from, is we're so good at hiding things that we're afraid one day somebody's going to find out exactly what's going on in our heads, and they're going to think, they're going to just realize we're faking this. We're trying to fake it till we make it, only we never feel like we actually make it. So people with ADHD tend to have low self-esteem as well. One of the things I wanted to talk about is ADHD paralysis, which kind of is the whole point of this live. I wanted to give people hacks on how to get motivated when you're not motivated, and how to get things done when you just don't feel like doing it. ADHD paralysis is being a perfectionist when you're not capable of motivating yourself to do something to achieve that perfection, all the while in your mind telling yourself something like you're lazy, which causes anxiety and depression. So those are what I call thought gremlins. When you start telling yourself, you're lazy, or, thought gremlins come from the outside, actually. They get put in there and then we just grab hold of them and start using them. Like my favorite one has always been, well, if you just tried harder. It's not quite that easy. So one of the things I learned to do just recently was to get my head out of the game. So when I am doing certain things in my cookie business, I used to tell myself, oh my God, I hate making cookie dough. I hate making icing. I hate washing dishes. Well, that kind of gets me, tells me I hate doing those things. I don't want to do them. I'm going to procrastinate on doing them. So what I started doing is I realized, and I wish I could remember where I heard this or read this, but I do know where I heard this or read this. A book from Claire Brown. It was a book on how to be organized and clean your house if you have ADHD. And in that, she talked about stop telling yourself you hate doing something. Everybody hates going to work, but we do it because you got to do it. And so you don't tell yourself you hate it. You just get up and you go and you do it. It's like a habit. So in Claire's book, she talks a lot about making things convenient so that you'll do them. So what I do is I don't tell myself I hate making cookie dough. I have no problems anymore making cookie dough. I put the butter out on my counter, which for ADHDers, we also have a problem with object permanence, which is basically that if your eyes don't see it, your mind deletes it. So if I need to make cookie dough and I don't have butter on the counter, I'm not going to make cookie dough just because I'm going to forget I need to make it until I go to make cookies and there's no cookie dough. But I don't tell myself I hate doing it anymore. I just focus on that first step. That first step of, okay, I need to make cookie dough. What's the first thing I need to do? I need to get the butter, put the butter in the mixer. And I just do it like that every time. It's called disassociating yourself, which if you've ever, any of those of you that have already been diagnosed with ADHD, if you've ever watched TikTok and some of these ADHD content creators, they always say ADHD can be your superpower. And I used to sit there and think, how can it be my superpower? I mean, I don't feel super, I don't feel powerful, I don't get it. Then I found out for each person it's probably different, but for me it's being disassociative. And you would think that's a bad thing, but it's not. For any of you, have you guys ever zoned out? It's basically like zoning out while working. So I zone out. I turn my brain off. I turn my thought gremlins down. I don't listen to them. As a matter of fact, I've gotten so good at it, they don't even talk to me anymore. But I just focus on the first task, and that's what works for me. And so I mentioned in the preview for the Go Live, or the thing that the twins put up, is that with ADHD, you're either a potato or a tornado. And what I mean by that is you're either in your rhythm and you go, 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 and then all of a sudden you can't go anymore, and you're not really exhausted, you just can't do it. You sit on the couch, you're in the death scroll. What's going on TikTok? What's going on sugar cookie marketing? Oh, look at that beautiful set, double tapping. And all the time you're sitting there thinking, I've got cookies to do. I've got to get up and I've got to make icing. I've got orders sitting there, and you're sitting there, it's hard. You're a potato, and it's called ADHD paralysis. And the problem with ADHD paralysis is with ADHD, we have a hard time switching gears. So you kind of get in that tornado mode, and then you make the mistake of sitting down, which is what triggers the paralysis part. And when you get into that paralysis mode, you sit there on the couch, and then your thought gremlins start telling you, you've got things to do. And then you start thinking to yourself, maybe those comments about me being lazy, maybe it's right, I am lazy. That's my biggest thought gremlin, is I'm lazy. And I'm not really lazy. You have to be kind to yourself, and you have to stop and think to yourself, am I hungry? Am I thirsty? Am I really just tired? We just finished Christmas, and that was a frenzy for all of us. And you just got to remind yourself, it's okay. Take a moment, give yourself 25 minutes to just sit and be a potato. And then just think to yourself, set a timer 25 minutes, the timer goes off, just stand up. That's the first step, just stand up. So like I said, part of the dissociative thing is to just think of what the first task is. You want to just think to yourself, okay, I need to make cookie dough. I've spent 25 minutes here on the couch. I'm going to go make cookie dough now. So first thing you need to do, you need to stand up and go into the kitchen. Just do it. Just stand up and go into the kitchen and try it. It's not instant. You can't turn your gremlins off instantly. It's a learning process, and you're gonna just think, okay, I gotta make cookie dough. I'm gonna throw the butter in there, turn on the butter. What else do I need? What's the next step? Sugar. I gotta get the sugar and put the sugar in there and cream the sugar. And I literally just do that till I'm finished. I don't stop and think about how I feel about it. I just know I need to do it, and I do it. And then the part that I enjoy, I think the part that almost all of us enjoy, is the decorating part. So I just go through the cookie dough making, the icing making, the coloring icing, bagging icing, all of that. I just go through it until I get to the part I like, which is fun. I'll give you a big hint about kind of slogging through the parts you don't like to do or you don't find as enjoyable. One of the things with an ADHD brain is we're looking for dopamine. Dopamine is the happy drug. And I was listening on the podcast and the twins were talking about, one of them was reading a book about dopamine, if I remember. But dopamine is our happy drug. That's what motivates us to get up and do things. So the easiest way to have a good day as an ADHDer, or somebody who's working at home and, you know, this is your business. You want to make money, you want to be successful at it. Make a list, a to-do list. And I have 2 to-do lists. I have one to-do list that I call my parking list. I write everything on my parking list. Any thought that pops into my head about something I have to do, I put it on the parking list. And it's just a little, oh, wrong way. It's just a little notebook. Can you see, where is it? Oh, there it is. Just a little notebook that I have that it's small, so I can put it next to me. I have my pen and I put it next to me, and whenever I have an idea, I park it there. And then after I've done with my day's, you know, tasks for that day, I go back through my parking list and I find the first 3 things I'm going to do tomorrow morning. And you want those first 3 things that you're going to do tomorrow morning to be simple, easy tasks. I know not too long ago the cookie bookies read, actually I guess it's been quite a long time ago, they read you know, the Eat the Frog, and that might work for neurotypical people, but it doesn't work so well with neurodivergence, because we will not get out of bed, we will drag our feet, we will procrastinate big time when we have to eat a frog. But if you make your list, let's say I need to get up tomorrow and throw a load of laundry in, I need to unload the dishwasher, and I need to get, and I need to order cookie cutters. Big dopamine hit right there, ordering cookie cutters. So I have my list of to-dos. Those are going to be the first 3 things I'm going to do. And I'm going to do them and I'm going to check them off. And that gives you a dopamine hit. So now you've got dopamine going, and you'll be more motivated to complete the bigger tasks on your list. That's why to-do tasks are so good, because once you check them off, you're giving yourself a hit of dopamine. And that's exactly what keeps us motivated and keeps us going. When you have big tasks, like the frog tasks, when you got to eat the frog, break it down into little tasks. And again, just like I was saying with the cookie dough, break it down into each individual step, make each one of those steps a check, you know, something checkable on your list. And I wish I'm downstairs in my basement and my recipes are up in the kitchen, but I literally have them on a printed out with a sheet protector, and each step, like, you know, cream butter, add sugar, all of those steps are checkoffs, so that I don't need to look at it anymore because I've got it memorized. But when I was trying to get myself motivated and on a roll, I would check those off and get my hit of dopamine to keep me rolling. So that's the point, is you want to do those hits of dopamine to keep yourself rolling. Because if you don't, like they say, if you don't have a plan, then you plan to fail. Make a plan, make a checklist, check them off. Another thing that I do, so with ADHD, we have object permanence issues. And like I said, if I don't see it, my brain deletes it, which is, I know somebody was talking the other day about, Cutterly, is that what it's called? Cutterly. And with Cutterly, I don't use that particular app, but I use one very similar to it called Sortly. And I put all my cookie cutters in bins. I take a picture of it, I number the bin, and I put it in a bin, and then I put in Sortly where that cookie cutter, what bin that cookie cutter is located in. But the thing is, you know, they'll tell you to try and use things that are, you have to, sorry, I'm reading notes. You know, you have to put them in a bin. When you put them in a bin, you're going to put them up and you're going to put them away. What happens? You forget you have them. So you want to make sure that when you sit down to order cookie cutters, you have on your list, before you order a cookie cutter, to go through your whatever, your Cutterly, Sortly app, whatever app you have, to make sure you don't already have that. I even keep, I was going to pull it up, but I even keep my sprinkles in there, my sanding sugars, what colors I have, because like many of us, I have gone on to websites and bought white sanding sugar. Then I get it and I go to put it away and I already have 3 bags opened of white sanding sugar. So to keep myself from doing that, I started listing in Sortly what sprinkles I have, what cookie cutters I have, what edible markers I have, keeping track of everything. Sorry. Let's see. I want to see if there's anything else. I strongly recommend for being successful when you have something like motivation issues or procrastination issues, automate everything. And I know, plug for the Cookie College, because I went through the Cookie College last year, and one of the things I did was looking through all of the different courses to find what I could do to automate. I automate, as much as I can, because then you don't have to stop and think about it. So email automations, any business automations that you can do. With my ordering process, it used to be, oh my goodness, this was one of my biggest failures in my business, was orders falling in the cracks. I would get somebody send me an order and I would forget to print it out, and then I'd forget it because I don't see it anymore. And what I started to do was use Trello. I know there's other apps like Trello. I know the twins use a different one, and they talk about that one a lot. But Trello, I started using Trello with automations because I use a program that I use JotForm for my quotes. And then when they fill out a quote in JotForm, it goes to my email, notifies my email. It goes into my Trello board automatically. I did those with Zapier. I did it with Zapier to create automations, so they go into my Trello board, and then I constantly check my Trello board. One of the things to being successful is building habits. You need to really build habits. And like I said, in Claire Bowen's book, she talks about making habits convenient. I'm already looking at my phone every day, right? So my Trello app is one of the first apps that's on the front page of my phone, so I tend to look at it a lot. And then if anything, it has notifications, so if I look at it and I see that there's a notification number on there, I'll go in and look to see what that notification is. So I have really done well with not losing orders, not losing track of them anymore. And in my Trello board, it has check boxes for things that get done. I'm all about the check boxes. All the talking's making me thirsty. Goodness, I thought I had made this long enough, but apparently I only made about 30 minutes long. Anyways, trying not to sound so scattered. Like I said before, the thought gremlins. Turning them off is a habit that you have to learn how to do. Being a neurodivergent, that's what the medication did for me, was to help control the thoughts that were racing around in my head that were negative self-talk. I've been taking medication for a lot longer than I've been doing successfully at my business. I've been taking the ADHD medication for 5 years now, but that helped control the negative self-talk, so that I could build better habits, better coping skills for my business. So now, like I said, get rid of the thought gremlins. When you're in that potato mode, be nice to yourself. Try to figure out why you're being a potato. They used to say procrastination was fear of doing something wrong. You were so worried that you'd be bad at doing something that you wouldn't do it, and you procrastinated. I believed that for a really long time. And then I found out that procrastination is really because you're overwhelmed with the idea of doing something. And the best way to get through that overwhelm is to break it down into steps. I do this especially when I get, my thing is custom cookies. I like to do custom cookies. So every once in a while, somebody will throw one at me that I'm not comfortable with, and I'll procrastinate because I don't know where to start. Or it's not that I don't know where to start. I'm so overwhelmed with the idea of this and all the steps it's going to take that I allow myself to get overwhelmed and I begin to procrastinate. Now I've gotten to the point where when I begin to procrastinate, I realize I'm overwhelmed. There's a lot of steps in what I need to do. What is the first step? It's like once you get that first step going, it's much easier to keep going. What do they say? Object in motion stays in motion, and the biggest energy consumption is going to be in that first step, getting moving. So next time you're procrastinating, ask yourself, how can I break this task down into smaller steps, smaller pieces, and take that one first step, and then you'll start getting better. Even if that first step is getting up, going get a piece of paper and writing down all the steps for whatever it is you need to do, so that you can prioritize and begin to check those things off. I'm being told that there's comments, but I don't see them. Oh, here we go. Nope. So I guess I'm going to have to wait until we get to the end, because for whatever reason I can't see the comments. But, oh, so my VA, I don't know, I think she's talked on, or she's commented before in the group. She goes by Regina Phalange. She's going to tell me what the comments are because I can't see them. Somebody asked, how do you get over the thought gremlins? That's when I said it's not going to be instant. It is not instant. The first thing is to realize they're not telling you the truth. Those thought gremlins are literally lying to you, and they're lying to you to protect you from getting hurt. That's their job. But, and I know this sounds wishy-washy, and it's like those, just we'll all meditate and whatever, but, literally you have to tell them, thank you for protecting me, but I got it. And, just realize that they're trying to do their job to protect you, but, you tell them, hey, I got it, I'm good. Brene Brown mentions about naming the problem. So when your thought gremlins are really going, stop and think to yourself, what is the problem? What really is the problem here? I'm scared, but I got it. So the gremlins, thank you so much. Be gone. I got it. It really is a habit you have to learn. And like I said, I've been taking medication for 5 years that helps to control those gremlins. Makes it easier for me to turn them off. Are there any other questions? I know one of the things that if you do have ADHD, one of the things, low and slow. So another one of my hacks is I call it low and slow. For instance, when you're feeling really overwhelmed, let's say you've got 6 dozen cookies to do. You're 1 dozen into it and you're already going, I'm not enjoying this. Low and slow. If you drive your car into water, which I've done on accident, if you drive your car into water, like when it's raining and the roadways get flooded, you have to slow down, put your car into low gear, and just go slowly. You'll get through it, but don't turn your engine off, because if you turn your engine off, you're going to sit there, which puts you into potato mode. So just go low and slow. What is the least amount of something you can do in this 6 dozen cookie project to get it completed? If that's flooding it or dipping it, just do it. Just low and slow. Just keep telling yourself low and slow. And then eventually you'll get through that water. You'll get through that overwhelm. You'll get through that lack of motivation, and you'll start, because you'll start finishing, you'll finish the next dozen. You finish 1 dozen, you'll finish 2 dozen, and you get a little dopamine. Hey, I did 2 dozen. Then for me, it's always when I get halfway, I got 3 dozen. Okay, I can do this. And then the motivation will come back. So low and slow. Remember, low and slow. Just whatever it is, take the least amount of effort task you can do and do that. Again, start your day with a dose of dopamine. Also, B complex is very, very good first thing in the morning when you want to have a good amount of energy through the remainder of the day. It's something that they recommend for people who are neurodivergent. I take B complex. I try to take it in the morning, but I forget sometimes. So I take it with my lunch. Oh gosh, time blindness. That's where we get into the tornado thing. Somebody asked about time blindness. So with time blindness, what that is you start doing something. We enjoy the decorating part. You start decorating and you're really into it, and you're just going and you're going and you're going and you're going, and all of a sudden you look up and it's like 4 hours have gone by, and you realize, oh my gosh, the husband's gonna be home. I don't have dinner going. I forgot to eat lunch. I forgot to go pick up the kids. It's when dealing with time blindness, the best thing to do is either have a buddy who understands what you're going through, who understands ADHD or neurodivergency, that can call you at the time you need to get something done. Set an alarm, because we need to learn to be responsible for ourselves. But definitely, if alarms don't work for you, have somebody give you a call and remind you, you need something to get something done. I just heard about a new alarm called Alarmy, ALARMY, like alarm with a Y on the end. And it's kind of interesting. I'm going to try it for the first time tomorrow. When you have trouble getting into doing something, like when you've got problems with time blindness, you set an alarm, but the alarm won't go off until you do a certain action. For instance, if I set my alarm that at 2 o'clock I need to go to a dentist appointment, so I set my alarm to not go off until I go get my keys. So then you get your keys, you have to take a picture of your keys in your hand, and it'll turn the alarm off. So now you're up, you're motivated, or you've already made that first action to stop what you're doing, stand up and get going. So Alarmy is great for time blindness when you've got things that you need to stop doing when we're in tornado mode, and change gears, because that is a problem with people that are neurodivergent, is they have trouble switching gears. Any other questions? I do want to recommend some good resources. There is a website called, let me find it. Well, first of all, I do recommend Claire Bowen. I believe that was her name. Claire Bowman, B-O-W-M-A-N. Claire Bowman's book, Cleaning for the ADHDer. Really good. It didn't just give me some aha moments about cleaning. It gave me some aha moments about getting things done. Well, that staying up until 3 or 4 a.m., sometimes we have to do that. But I don't know why all of a sudden my comments started popping in. Becky said Alarmy helped her so much. I'm looking forward to trying it because, Bridget, thank you for saying that about writing it down. I do want to comment that, like I said, I keep a notebook, my Parkit notebook. When you're doing something that you need to get through and, you tend to get distracted. For instance, when I'm making cookie dough, I will tend to get distracted and start doing something else. I'll look at my phone, whatever. Or a thought will pop into my head, because with ADHD, we have a million brilliant thoughts, which aren't always brilliant, but we have them. I write them down and park them, because once you get it out of your mind, out of your brain, it stops spinning around in there, which is part of in ADHD, a lot of people think that the H stands for hyperactivity, running around. It's the thoughts. The thoughts are hyper. So to prevent that, park it. Just park it. And then, like I said, when I go to make my tasks, my task list for the next day, I give it to my Parkit list and see what's in there that I can put on my top 3 for tomorrow morning. But writing it down gets it out of your brain. Reorganize it. Sharon said about writing it down and reorganizing it. It's hard for me to reorganize unless I use Post-it notes, which, oh my gosh, I have a million Post-it notes. I do use Post-it notes. Oh, one thing I really wanted to mention too that I learned about today when it comes to writing things down and reorganizing them. And this cracked me up because this is something I actually had. So the physical act of writing actually helps you to remember it, because it takes more brain cells to write it down than it does for us to type something out. We type it out, we won't remember it as well as the physical movement of our hand. So somebody had said, turn turn the inside of a cabinet into a whiteboard. Well, my virtual assistant bought me a roll of whiteboard contact paper, and we were using it on the wall to keep track of dates for orders that were due. Well, I found out about this hack and I put it on the inside of my pantry, because one of my problems is I'll run out of flour and I'll forget. I'll run out of sugar and I forget, because I won't notice I'm out until I go to pick it up, and then I'll tell myself, well, I got to remember to get sugar next time, and then I don't remember because I didn't write it down and it's nowhere. So you put it up, write it on your little whiteboard, you snap a picture of it in your phone, and then I actually move that picture onto a list in tasks that, I have a Sam's Club list, I have a grocery list, things like that. But anyways, whiteboard contact paper, great stuff. You can cut it into any size you need it. You can put it up on a whole wall and turn your whole wall into contact paper. Into a whiteboard. But writing something down on a sticky note and then having that whiteboard, you can put them on the whiteboard in, create sections on your whiteboard and then reorganize your thoughts into how you need them on those sticky notes. So yes, write it and reorganize it. Excellent, excellent way. Oh, and my VA said she got that on Amazon, so I will get her to put the link up in the comments later on. Got it? So, see if there are any other questions. Denise, you mentioned notebooks. Okay, I've got this notebook. I've got this notebook. I've got this notebook. I have this notebook, this notebook, this notebook. Oh, how about this notebook? And this notebook, and this notebook. And then I went and I bought myself 2 more notebooks. Like I said, writing things down helps you to remember them. It's called mind mapping. And when you look at it and you're writing it down, you read it over again and it helps to remember. So definitely notebooks everywhere, pens everywhere, just write it down. It will help you remember. Sharon, using apps, it can be a deterrent, I think, because if you don't build them into a habit, you will begin to become blind to them. For instance, I have a reminder on my phone on when I need to take my meds. And like I said, I always forget. But that reminder has been there for 5 years. It always pops up at the same time. And I've become blind to it. So I think using apps could be, it could be, if it causes you anxiety, yeah, definitely it could be an issue. But then find just maybe one core app that really works for you. Like I said, Trello for my business is my main app in my business. I have everything I need stored on that. I know there's another app very similar to Trello. I just can't think of the name of it. Oh, Atomic Habits. I definitely, Becky, thank you for that. I'll check into that book. Oh, another thing that helps with not getting distracted, I try to listen to the podcast when I'm driving, not when I'm baking. When I'm baking or decorating, it's funny, my husband calls it my funeral music. I listen to music that has no lyrics, because if I hear lyrics, then I want to start dancing and moving around, and I'm not going to do what I'm trying to do. But I do need noise. It was really funny because I went over to my daughter's house the other day and she had this little speaker, and she was talking about, I asked her, what's this little speaker for? And she goes, oh, it's for while I'm working. And I said, you listen to music while you're working? She said, I have 5 daughters. She goes, Mom, I grew up in a house of 5 kids. It's loud. I need loud to be able to concentrate. I do too. I need to have music, but if I have music with lyrics, then I won't concentrate. I'll concentrate on the lyrics. I can't have the TV playing because then I'll listen to the TV. Same thing. 8D audio. So, Becky, you'll have to tell me what 8D audio is, because I haven't tried it. I don't know what it is. Although I know the twins had mentioned about, that it's supposed to sound like records. I was using that for a while as the music I listened to. There's a YouTube channel and it has a little cat, and I would put it on the TV and then the TV would time out, so it would go black, but I just have the music. Come on, Heather, you guys know what that was called. What was that music called? I think Corey was the one that was listening to it. But Becky, I will definitely check 8D audio. That sounds like a great thing to try. Sorry, I bumped my camera. Ooh, Nanny, if you have trouble with reading books, like I have trouble with sitting down and reading books, because I think to myself I'd rather be doing something productive than sitting and reading a book. I listen on Audible, and again, I tend to listen to books when I'm driving. So I do my own deliveries, and I know twins, you guys are all about them coming to you, but I don't want them coming to me. It actually makes me anxious when I know they're going to pick up. Planners, but now I lost my train of thought. ADHD. Planners. Somebody asked about planners. I don't use a planner. Honestly, I know my VA, who also happens to be my daughter. My daughter uses planners, and I know she keeps track of my orders in an actual calendar. But for some reason, planners don't work for me any more than because I won't carry it with me. I will put it down, and then it'll just get lost. Where I have so many notebooks that, and it's really weird, I will write down tons of stuff in my notebooks, and I never need to go back and look at it because I remember it. So planners don't work for me. Oh yeah, library card. If you have a library card, a lot of libraries will let you download audiobooks. Totally good idea. Thank you, Crystal. Denise, I will definitely check out that planner, but I have a hard time. Every year I try planners, get a new one, a cute one, cute stickers, and then you know what happens? I have a pile of cute stickers and a planner that I don't do anything with. I think maybe I'm intimidated by them. Let's see what else. Anyways, really quickly, I'd like to take a poll. I was thinking about, this is my first time actually talking about neurodivergency and running a business. I know I left a lot unaddressed, that probably I could have addressed. Anyways, I was thinking about starting a support group for people like myself who need somebody to help them to be kept accountable. Maybe a Facebook group of our own neurodivergent bakers. But if you're interested, drop a comment, let me know. Anyways, I really can't think of anything else to say. If ADHD, my daughter just reminded me about how dealing with failures. So neurodivergents like myself in particular, when I have failures, I don't know how many of you've ever read Brene Brown's books. She calls them, I'll say a poop storm. That's not the word she uses. She calls them a poop storm. When I fail, I will spiral down and be really hard on myself. But I should say I used to do that. I'm getting much better about, again, disassociating myself from the failure and looking to see what caused the failure. And I know that the twins had something going there about it all leads back to you didn't charge enough. A lot of times it really just, I may charge enough, I didn't start soon enough. Really, that's what it is with me. So, don't kick yourself when you're down. If we were in a group and I said, hey, you guys, I had a big failure this week because I was late on this order and, I really messed things up. you wouldn't tell me, God, what a failure you are. Talk to yourself like you would talk to a friend. You know, hey, I made a mistake. What can I learn from this? I can learn to start sooner, which, you know, I have learned to start sooner. I was actually super proud of myself that I had an order that wasn't due until the 7th, and I actually shipped it out on the 4th. And, you know, I have an order that is due to ship, is tomorrow Monday? Yeah, tomorrow. It's due to ship tomorrow, and it's already done. It's packaged. All I have to do is go drop it off at UPS tomorrow morning. And that's a big game changer for me, because usually I am scrambling to get there before 6 o'clock, before they close. And I've been known to ask my daughter to find where the last UPS pickup would be, and have driven an hour and a half out of my way to go reach that last pickup because I procrastinated too long. But I digress. When you have a failure, you know, learn from it. Failures are opportunities. They really are opportunities to learn to do better, and you just gotta dust yourself off and get back up and do it again. It's all about what is I think it's a Chinese proverb: fall down 8 times, fall down 7 times, get up 8. Is that what it is? Fall down 7 times, get up 8. Just keep getting up. Do, you know, learn what you can from it. So hey, I see a lot of people that say, yeah, support group. I think, you know, reach out to me, folks, and we'll get something going, because I really, one of the things about, I know we're getting close to the hour. One of the things about being neurodivergent is the out of sight, out of mind thing, object permanence. We tend to have a real struggle with community, not because we don't want to be part of a community, we just forget to be part of a community. So I love Sugar Cookie Marketing Group, but a lot of the times I just feel like I'm on the outside looking in, because, you know, I just watch, I just look. And I'm not saying that's anybody's fault but my own, it's my feelings. But I want to have a group where we check in on each other. You know, how's it going? Is there anything you need? Do you need me to call you to remind you to stop what you're doing to go pick up your kids? I can do that. I'll set my alarm and I'll get it done. So anyways, Amber Rose Marie Miller, executive functioning skills. That is what our issue is with switching gears, is executive functioning. Gosh darn it, I was going to give you guys references and I forgot. Let me find it. Attitude Magazine online, ADDITUDE. I believe it's just, you'll have to Google it, because I can't remember if it's just attitude.com or if it's attitudemag.com, but lots of really good resources on there. Also, TikTok. Put in a search for ADHD hacks or procrastination hacks. Oh my gosh, the stuff that comes up on there sometimes is super enlightening. And even with something like executive skills, executive functioning skills, I guarantee you, put that into a search in TikTok and you will find something useful out of there. Specifically for baking even. I'm sure you can find something specifically for baking. Becky, that's funny. You know, I like actually catching the lives on replay, because I can back it up and re-listen to something that I got distracted and didn't pay attention to. So I do like to sit and do that when, I won't tell you when, but I like to do that when I've got a few moments to sit and watch something, and I like to watch the lives. So we're walking up on, or approaching exactly an hour. So I want to thank you guys so much. You guys were really kind, and I appreciate that, because this was my first live. And not just my first live, it feels really personal, because I'm not just talking about, you know, decorating or something. I'm talking about how I function and how I try to deal with how I function. Anyways, I hope we can all get together and, you know, learn from each other, give each other pointers and hacks that help us be more productive. And maybe we can get into more about stopping the gremlins, how to nip those guys in the bud. So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. I will make sure to save this. And the twins, thank you very, very much for, you know, letting me do this. I really appreciate you guys.